This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. So as I said yesterday, Scala is object-oriented and functional programming language. So you can create objects here, and also you can also use it as a functional. So for the functional, I can say like you can write like a script, like a Python script, shell script, how you write in a simple language, right? Similar language you can write it to make you understand. I'm explaining this way. Let's see a simple I'm going to write a simple message I want to print in the console. So how we will do println println parenthesis, we'll just specify your message. So this REPL, what it does, whatever the message I have typed here, I mean whatever the statement I have typed here, it will read that message. REPL, REPL, right? R means read. This statement will read, evaluate, E means evaluate, print, it is printing output in the console, and loop, it's waiting for the next statement. So that's called REPL, REPL. So here you can do simple calculations. Let's say I have printed some message. So not only that message, I just want to do some two numbers addition, subtraction, whatever the operations you want to perform. You really no need to write a lengthy program to do all these things. Okay, and also Scala is type inferred language. When I say type inferred, you really no need to specify the data type. In other programming languages, except Python, in other programming languages, you have to specify the what data type of variable you are going to use. What data type? What is the type of variable? So first thing, what is a variable? Can anyone tell me what is a variable? What is a variable?
Which holds value.
Which holds the value. Actually, it is a memory reserved name for a memory. Suppose if I want to store some value called 20. Okay, that value will be stored in the memory, right? So that memory will be represented by or refer by some name. That name will call variable. Will call variable. So when we say variable, it is the meaning of it is it can be changeable. Variable means it can be changeable. It is not fixed. It's not constant, right? So here also we have a variables and we have a constants. We have a variables and also we have a constants. So let's see a simple variable. I'm going to declare a variable. Here, if you want to declare a variable, we will use var in the first three letters of your variable. This in the first three letters of your variable. Var name equal to, you just need to specify it, really no need to specify the data type. Okay, let's look at here. I'll just say Sudhir. Okay, when I press enter, if you observe that name colon string, so based on the value you have passed, your name has been recognized, it is a string type, has been recognized as a string type, right? It means that the data type is getting recognized by your, the data type is recognizing by your Scala. It's called type infer. Type infer, it's automatically inferring the data type. Similarly, let's say age equal to, okay, I don't want to say val, I'll say val later, age equal to 28. Let's see. Now, when I press enter, it automatically recognizes the data type. Where sal equal to, if I say, it automatically recognizes the data type. Okay, this is called type infer language. So it automatically recognizes this. Now, name I have given Sudhir. Name I have given Sudhir. Whenever I try to access name, it always gives me Sudhir, which is a string type. Okay. Now, let's take an example. Name equal to I'm trying to assign some number. Let's say some 1,000. What it is thrown? It is thrown an exception saying that type mismatch. Sir, you said whatever the value I assign to variable, it automatically recognizes the data type. But what is this, sir? First I have declared, first I have loaded the Sudhir as a string. Next I'm loading as a number. So it should automatically recognize the number for, right? Scala is like Java, static type language. Static typed language. Try to remember the terminology. Static typed language. Python is dynamic typed language. In Python, you declare one variable, assign some value in it. So it will go with the whatever the value you have given, it will take that data type. After a few statements, you assign some other value, some other type value. It will take because that is a dynamic type, but it is static typed. So you really no need to specify the data type. You go ahead and assign the value. Once you assign the value, it will stick with that data type. It will stick with that data type. Please make a note of it. It's really important. So people may try to ask you an interview to confuse or to understand what is the type, what is a static typed language, what is a static typed language. So while declaring a variable, if you assign some value or if you assign some data type, it will the whole program in the whole application or whole life of that variable will be same type. The type will not be changeable. So some people will say where I can use up arrow. I have used like this. After some statements, can't I scroll down? It is, so I have to use the clear only. Okay, I think it's a command L. Sorry. Okay, you have a scroll. Could you please scroll down? Okay, okay, okay. Oh, this is much. One second. Oh, just act like this. Where? So there's something went wrong. So there. Okay, I'll do one thing. Let me share my screen, so I'll be comfortable with that. I can explain here. Okay, where name equal to Sudhir. Okay, and again where name equal to 1,000. Now you guys tell me whether it is changed the data type or it. See, it is not the you're assigning the new value. You are redeclaring here. You are declaring it again. You are not assigning a value. See, whenever you use a var, it means you are declaring it again. Okay, so that's the reason first time it taken as a string type. When you declare again, it takes second time. You're declaring again, right? So try to understand the difference. Suppose if you see some code like here or there, so with the one data type by declaring one, and when you declare, yes, when you're declaring it, if you assign a value, it will take that value, that data type only. Suppose if you want to explicitly specify your own data type, what you can do, you can give like this. And also one thing we need to remember, In Scala, everything is object. So Scala does not have any primitive data types. So that is the reason we have to specify capital int. If you are specifying float, capital F. If you are specifying double, capital D. So these are all the class type actually. They're all object type. Okay, look at here. Is this clear to everyone? Any doubts so far? Any doubts so far?
Can you repeat the var age integer?
Yeah. So Scala has some data types. Scala has some data type like int, float, double, char, string. There are different data types out there. So I'll explain the data types in separately. You have a object type data types and you have a Scala type data types. I'll show you them. So val type and reference type, I mean to say. Value type, there are some data types. Reference type, there are some data types. Okay. So here in this line of code, what I did, I declared my variable specifying my variable data type is integer. Suppose it's the same thing if I do like this, it will not take. It will not take. Okay, it will not take. Understand?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next, and what are the features of the Scala? What are the features of the Scala? How it is different from other languages? Scala, as I told you, it's a type infer, as I said, like if I say like this, it understands the type of the variable and declares that data type automatically takes. It means that it is a type infer. Type infer. And another one is it is a singleton object. Another one is it is a singleton object. What is a singleton? I think it's too early to understand what is a singleton, but I'll try to make you understand simple way. So you guys look at here. I think I have done some programs here, right? What I did, I declare object. I declare object. Whatever I'm declaring here object, it is a singleton object. It is a singleton object. When I say singleton object, it means entire life of this variable, entire life of this application, only one object can be created. So you cannot create multiple objects. You cannot create a multiple objects. Okay, that's called singleton object. That's called singleton object. Okay, if you declare a variable like this, it's called entire life of this application, first Scala application. This is singleton. You cannot create multiple objects for that. Yeah, we'll see. We will understand and going automatically when we learning this thing. It's a little early to make you understand what is a singleton. It's a one type of design pattern. It's a one type of design pattern. Okay, and Scala is immutable language. Immutable. Okay, what is immutability? Immutability means if you declare a variable, if you try to modify that variable, let's see, let me, yeah, val. I used val, not var. This time, you look at here. I used val, age equal to 28. Now, if I try to change value of this to 30, it will not. It will not. Okay. So what it's doing, you cannot do the reassignment for the val. Similarly, I mean, this is an example. This is not actually mutable. This is, you cannot do the reassignment. So what I'm trying to explain here is, if you try to modify an object, it will not get modified. It will create a new object. If you try to modify an object, it will not get modified. It will create a new object. That is called immutability. I request you guys to please make a note of these features of the Scala. One is type infer. Type can automatically recognize. Second one is singleton object. Third one is immutability. Okay, let me explain what is immutability.
Ravi, I have here one doubt actually.
Yeah, please.
All data types are by default objects in the Scala, as you mentioned. And also you are telling that immutable means it creates new object like string, because in Java by default string is immutable. So if it
Here
is singleton, then how it creates new object, that is
you misunderstand the concept. This
okay.
object I'm talking about. This object, whatever you are creating, object. This one. Inside that,
Okay.
whatever the variables you create, no, not those are not the one.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Good. Yeah.
So this object is singleton. Suppose you can create object for this first class, but when you create also, it will make use of the same object. It will not repeat it. Okay. Yeah. So whoever is not aware of what is a singleton, I'll make them very much clear. So I think it's too early to talk about it. Singleton means very simple. Singleton means entire life of that application, entire life of that application, that class or that object, only one object will be created. Even if you try to create another object, it will be same object only, it will be referred, it will not be created new object. The simple you can remember for now. So how to implement and all, I'll show you. Implementation is this one only. This is very simple. You are creating object name, and you're creating all this whatever stuff you want. It means it is singleton. Coming to immutability. Coming to immutability. I have an object. Okay. Let's say I have an object. That object name is Scala. This is one object. I'm referring this with the name. If I do any changes to this name, like name equal to name plus spark, okay, or name dot upper case, I'm converting into different uppercase. So if I'm trying to modify this object either by appending or changing or replace, so let's say name dot replace some character, okay, with like this. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to modify. Okay, if you didn't understand what is upper, what is a replace and all, I can explain. I think these are very much common operations in the strings, even SQL or any other language. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to modify an object. What will happen? It will not get modify the existing one. It will not get modify the existing one. It will create a new object. It will create a new object. Let's assume that I did this operation. Okay, so what it does, it will create a new one. Then this reference will refer this one, because I'm assigning here, so the old reference will be lost. This is called immutability. You are not modifying the existing object, you are creating a new object. Immutability means it's a not mutable, it is not modifiable. Once the object is declared, it is not modifiable. Once you declare an object, that's not modifiable. Is this clear to everyone? Is this clear? The features of this is type infer the schema, inferring the schema or data type automatically. It's immutable. It's a singleton. And also it's a functional programming. Because of the functional programming, it has a higher order functions. It has a higher order functions. I'll let you know what is a higher order functions. It's too early to talk about it. These are all features. So these are all we are going to discuss in the future coming classes. And it has something called case class for the pattern matching. case class. These are all like not the same classes. It has a different classes. There is something called pattern matching. Okay, just make a note of these features. We'll talk in detail about later. And also it's a lazily evaluated, which is called lazy computation. We'll call lazy computation. Okay, we'll talk about it. Okay, let me show you some programs here. Anyway, I have started my this one. Let me show you the first example. Look at here. I have created, you can declare a variables, you can declare a value. Okay, forget about the functions and all, don't get consider them at this point of time. Okay, so let's say I have a val x equal to 10, val y equal to 20. If I want to do the summation of this, I can say x plus y. Same as other programming languages. Same as other programming languages. No other difference here. But if you want to write up application wise, this is a REPL. If you want to write application wise, as I shown in the study session, you have to create Scala object, not the class. You can write a Scala class also, but if you write a Scala class, you cannot make it as a runnable program. If you want to make it a runnable program, you have to go with the object only. Try to remember this. If you create a class, you can create a type, you can create an employee type, you can create an animal type. We'll discuss in the later sessions. Create object, then give simple Scala demo. You create it and you can specify whatever the code you want right here. So every application, it can be C, C++, Java, Scala, whatever the application you take, they start with the entry point. That entry point is your main method. That entry point is main method. One second. So you can define main, you can make use of the template, existing template. You can make use of the existing template. Then once you enter into the entry point, you can specify println, whatever the statements you want to write, you can write. Then you can just go ahead and run this program. How to run this program? Right click on this program and run. If you're doing from the IntelliJ, if you're doing from any IDE. Otherwise, if you write in the normal program, same as like Java C, how you do in the Java program. Similarly here, Scala C, file name, Scala class name. Okay, is this clear? Is this clear
Ravi,
to
what is
everyone?
that unit, Ravi? Unit is equal to what is that unit?
Okay, so here unit is represent the data type. Okay, even if you take it out, nothing will happen. So that unit represents, it's a data type. This is a function, right? Every function will have a data type, return type. Every function will have a return type. Yes or no?
Yeah, got it,
So
Ravi.
unit
Definitely got it.
means it is not going to return any type. Unit means it is not going to return any type. It's kind of
Then what?
void.
No.
People, if come from any other programming bank, there is something called void. So similarly, unit here. Similarly, unit here. So if you take it out also, it will work. Here, def is nothing but you are defining a method and method name, the list of arguments. It can be one argument, it can be 10 arguments. Then this. Okay, and some examples, if you're reading from here and there. So without writing a main method, there will be some other option. I haven't tried any time, but let me show you for you guys. Scala class. Let me do object. Simple Scala app. Simple Scala app. Here they will use extends app. And you can directly, oh, it's not trait, it's object, it should be object. So here we'll people directly write print without using main method. Main method is not required here. Yeah, if you don't want to write a main method, you can write. So this app is actually represents application. This app represent an application. Is this clear? Is this clear? I know that most of the people are new to the programming language. Please don't hesitate to ask me. Please go ahead and ask whatever the doubt you have. Whatever the doubt you have, please go ahead and ask. This is app. So if you don't want to write a main method, you can just extend the app. You can directly go ahead and write your program. Please make a note quickly. So like other programming languages, even Scala also has its own data types. Okay. So before I explain the data types, so let's get familiarity with your programming, how you write the programs. But no, so I recommend to go with this method. Why? Because we will be clearly knowing that what is the main method, and we will write another method here. Suppose if you want to write, so you can go with the main method one. Okay, let's look at the variable demo. Variable, it means changeable. Whatever I have shown you here. Suppose let's say I have declared a var age. Last year it was 29, and later I want to change age equal to 30. It will accept. Since it is a var, var, since it is var, it will accept. But if you declare as a val means fixed, constant. You cannot do the reassignment. Okay, so val dob equal to some number. I mean, just giving this way, val 2020 10 10. Let's say it's the 2020 month 10 and this month. So that is fixed. Suppose if you try to change it, 1982 22 1982 10 21, if you go like this, it cannot be changeable. It cannot reassignable. If you declare a val, you cannot do the reassignment. Try to remember this. If you declare a val, you cannot do the reassignment. If you declare a val, you cannot do the reassignment. If you declare a var variable, you can do the reassignment. Same thing with the programmatically. Okay, so actually these variables has different scope. We will call them as a scope. If you declare this variable x within the method, the scope of that variable can be used within that method only. I mean, this is very much common and everywhere, guys. If you have written at least any of the programming, PL/SQL or whatever, any programming language, if you confirm, this is the, if you declare any variable within the method, that will be used within the method only. That cannot be used outside. Right? The same here also. And if you declare outside the method, we'll normally call as a field. Whatever you declare inside, that will call as a local variable. Whatever you declare outside the method, inside the object or class, okay, whatever it is, that can be accessible everywhere. Let's say same example only, let me take you. So here I have did x, right? Similarly, I will declare var age equal to 30. Okay, so this age can be used, this age can be used within the other methods also. Okay, look at here. Okay, try to print this. Age is 30. So my age is declared outside the method. The scope of this method is here to here, here to here. The scope of the method is here to here. Whatever I have declared outside the method, I'm able to access inside the method. It means it has a more scope. It has a more scope. It means if you declare anything outside the method and inside the object, you can access anywhere. You can access anywhere. But if you declare inside the method and out inside the method, let me show you that as well. If you declare inside the method, let's say a local variable, here it is there, right? So I will declare var name equal to Scala. If I try to print this outside, if I try to print this outside, try to print outside, name is, it's saying red color. Look at here what it is saying. Cannot resolve symbol name. It means it's not able to identify. It's not able to identify. Why? Because the name, the scope of the name is, the name of the scope is within the method, within this curly brace to this curly brace. Are you guys able to follow? Okay, so that's the difference between local variable and a field. Local variable and field. Local variable scope is within the method. Within the method, the fields can be accessed everywhere in the program. That too, we discussed about variable. When I say variable, it's a changeable. Reassignment is possible. Variable reassignment is possible. But when it comes to val, when it comes to val, no, this is a variable test. Okay, this is just like another one. So when it comes to the constants, I can declare it here something. I can val div equal to, I'll put it this time in string 1982 83 10 21. If I declare like this, if I declare like this, it is fixed. I cannot change this like a div equal to something like 2020 10 21. You cannot do like this. It is clearly, semicolon is not required, guys. If you observe here, I have not kept any semicolon here, so it's not really required. So without semicolon is it can. So reassignment to val is not possible. It will not work. We cannot do the reassignment to the val type. We cannot do the reassignment to the value type. Are you guys making a note of it? Since it's initial days, so please make a note. These programs are already there in the my Git. So I'll give that Git link. You guys can access all these programs, whatever is there here. All these programs can be accessible, whatever the programs here. You can do that. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, let's see data types. Let's see data types. For that, let me open one document which I have actually prepared. Scala. There is the one document I have. I think this one only. Let me open this. This is what normally if you want to execute a program, you'll declare a program, Scala C, your file name, Scala, and your object name. Okay, this one. These and all we can see. Directly you can use your equals method. Directly you can use the equals method to compare whether. Let me jump into data types. Look at here. I think the screen is visible to everyone. Just let me make it bigger. So these are the different data types supported by Scala. Boolean, the expected values are true or false. The default value is false. And a byte is a data type. You can specify 8 bits and the default value is 0. Short 16-bit, character 16-bit. Actually it stores the ASCII internally, so that's the reason you see that your default value is /u 000 zeros. And int, long, float, double, string. Actually I want to make it separate. This one I don't want to mix with them. String is separate. It's actually okay. I'll show that as well. If you guys want to make it quick. So you really not to worry about the signed value, assigned value. Really these things is not really required. If you want, you can ignore these things. Other stuff you can make a note. Boolean, byte, short, character, int, long, float, double. Okay, once you make a note of this, okay, so let me show you this diagram. It's actually destructed due to, yeah, this is correct. Look at here. Any is the parent to all the data types or all the classes or objects in Scala. Any is the topmost starting point to your Scala. Any is the topmost. Like if you guys from Java, there is something called object. Object is the parent to all the classes in Java. Object is the parent to all the classes in Java. Similarly here, any is the topmost class in Scala. This any has two childs, any value, any reference. Any value, any reference. Any value comes under the values. Any reference comes under the reference type, like a string, your any other classes. If you write anything in Scala, that all comes under any reference. And other Java classes, whatever the supported in Scala, and your Scala object, all other stuff will comes under any reference. If you guys want to make a note of this, please make a note of this. Okay, so under any value, your byte, sort, int, long, float, double, all this comes under picture. And this char and boolean also, actually, it has been two categorized. One is with value categorized, another one, these are values, right? We will store that values. These actually stores not values, they'll store the different things. Char will store, actually character will store the ASCII, and the boolean stores the false, unit stores nothing. So that's the reason we separated. And the references, all these references. And also there are other types also, nothing and null, and there is something called sum and options also. We'll talk about those things later. These are the data types. These are the different data types. Please let me know once you're done. We'll talk about the casting and all later. First, you understand the data types. Is it clear? Any doubts so far? So in Scala, there are no primitive data types. There are no primitive data types. Okay, all are objects. Byte, sort, int, long, float, double. So what is the primitive data types? Primitive data types means built-in, or I can say the data types is not an object type. You cannot call any you cannot call any methods on it. You cannot call anything. You just int means this such it's kind of a built-in data type is given by your language. So you can't. That is not an object type. That's not an object type. That's kind of a normal type of I can say what I can say. It is not a it's not a class or it's not object, right? So when you say object, it can have you can call a methods on object. Let me show you an example. Yeah, let me show you here. I think I do have a Java here. Let's look at here. So I'll write a small letter int. Okay, so I'll say some value here like this. So now I don't have any methods. I don't have anything here. And int dot also I cannot do anything. I mean, these are all like your object methods, not this int methods. Okay. So similarly, when I go to the Scala, okay, here I declare x, right? Let me declare it in this way. Int type. Now x dot not only equals and hash code, not only those methods, I can call these many methods on it. The symbols you don't consider, they are operators. They're not operators, they are methods. They are functions. Okay, they're all functions. You can see that bracket open. They're all functions. You can apply these many, compare to, equals, these many functions you can apply. So you can see the clear difference. You can see the clear difference. These are all here. X is an object. X is not a primitive type variable. X is an object, integer type object, integer data type object. So that's the reason you are able to apply all these functions on it. That's the reason you are able to apply all these functions on it. Okay, so if it is a primitive data type, you cannot do anything else. You cannot have that such kind of thing. You cannot have such kind of things. You cannot have such kind of things. So here this int is a primitive type. This int is a primitive type. Suppose I have something called integer in this. Integer in this. Okay, if I do now, look at here. If I do like this, why it's not coming? Look at here, because that's declared in a class level. That's the reason. Look at here, max value, min value, toString, byte count. So there are some methods we are able to apply here. There are some methods we are able to apply here. So this is a class type. This is an object type, integer. It's an object type. It is a primitive type. So you may say that no, you have declared outside. That's the reason you are not able to do. So I can let me declare this also inside the method. These are all not methods. Okay, these are all not methods. There is no methods. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so try to remember what is a object type, what is a primitive type. So whatever we see in the Scala, they're all object type. They're all object type. That's the reason you can directly apply any functions on this. Let's say suppose I have a 10 dot. Look at here, if I press tab twice, these many functions are supported on 10. Even I'm declaring a value 10, is considered as an object. Okay, so we'll see in detail in the next session. So try to remember Scala, there is no primitive data types. Everything in Scala is object type. Scala has a variable and val. Scala is a type infer, okay, and it is immutable, and it is a singleton, and it has a case class, it has a pattern matching, it has a lazy evaluation. These are the features, and these are the different kind of things. So, and whatever you declare in variable in the Scala, they'll consider as an object. You can apply functions on it. Any questions? Slowly we'll try to see if conditions, loops, then we will see the one by one operations on Scala. Any questions? Any questions? Yeah. So that's it for today, guys. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow and we will see in more detail. So tomorrow we'll try to execute some of the control statement. Okay, thank you, guys.